On November 23rd, there's a new moon in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is now back in Pisces, and it's going to be there until December 20th, which means you have about a month to use this really psychic, intuitive, magical energy before it disappears for 12 years. What does that mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you today about the new moon. It's on November 23rd. It's at 1 degree of Sagittarius. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you for helping me grow this channel and to help me put out quality astrology information. It means a lot to me that you guys are so supportive and that you listen to my videos and you make comments. I love it. So I want to know if you all prefer this long format that I do with the chapters so that you can jump to the sign that you want to listen to, or if you would prefer that I break this up into 12 short videos. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and then I will add up the numbers and see which way we should go. So this new moon is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is now back in Pisces, and it's going to be there for a few weeks until December 20. Now, the interesting thing is because Jupiter, it takes 12 years to go all the way around the zodiac. Once it leaves Pisces, it won't be back for 12 years, and so we have a few weeks left to use this really extraordinary energy. Now, Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system, and so we see it as the energy that expands, that it is about doing something more, about having more opportunities, of having anything where you're going to grow. Jupiter is probably best known because it brings luck, and so now it's combined with this energy of Pisces, and Pisces is a very interesting energy because it's not necessarily so practical, but it is very spiritual, and when something is spiritual, it means it can transcend things. It can go beyond something. So here we have this very large planet which says we're going to expand something with the Pisces energy, which removes the boundaries. So for some of you, this will be very much centered on spirituality and your intuition and working with your inner self. But for some of you, this will manifest as something practical, like more connections, more money, more job opportunities because of the house that it's going through. So as we go sign by sign, I'll be pointing out where Jupiter may be bringing you more luck, more expanded opportunities, and more connection with the greater universe. So with Jupiter in Pisces for a few more weeks, you have an opportunity to view yourself with more compassion. This is a time to do radical self-acceptance. This is a time to let go of negative self-talk and the things that have happened in the past. It's time to forgive yourself and to demonstrate love and caring to yourself, because these are the things that can help you really move forward. Jupiter represents teaching and learning, and so this may be a time where you are focused on learning something new, but also maybe getting school settled or situated for something in the future. That doesn't mean necessarily that you're doing the application or finding the acceptance to the school, but just making the decision that you're going to go back to school, or that you are going to now not be in school and move towards something else. Jupiter in Pisces is less about, the daily grind and the hustle and all that. And it's more about recognizing that occasionally we want to stop and take a breath. And when we do, then the universe kind of catches up with us to give us the information that we've been asking for all along. So as we go through the day, we may be asking really good questions, questions that could open up new doors, but then we're moving so quickly from task to task, then we're not stopping to hear the answer. Well, during this time, there is going to be more, like a download of information that comes in the moment you pause. And so then this is a time to take time. That was a lot of times there, but this is a time to take the time to pause. Now, during this month, you are going to be highly intuitive, more empathetic. That's great, but sometimes that can mean that there is no boundary between you and other people's thoughts. And so if you feel like you are very tired, that could be that your energy is out there so much and everybody's pulling on it, and you may want to pull that back and put up a little bit of a barrier between you and everybody else. If you feel like your mind is kind of swimming, that is that you might be trying to process your thoughts, but also thoughts of everyone around you. And so again, you want to put up some sort of boundary for yourself so that you can say, okay, these are my thoughts and these other thoughts belong to other people. I really appreciate that you're listening to this opening. And if you like content like this, hit the thumbs up button. That tells the YouTube algorithm that people like this video, and then the YouTube algorithm will send it out to more people. One of the most interesting things about this chart when I was studying it for this video is that there is less aspects in this chart than usual. Aspects are both opportunities and potential conflicts. So having fewer means a quieter time. It's almost like there's a little bit of a pause and everyone's holding their breath. It's interesting too, because in my Chinese astrology videos, I've talked several times about this being the tiger year, and tiger being a big cat likes to nap. And so I think that this is one of those napping periods. And of course, on either side of the nap is the excitement and the energy. So when the tiger comes out of this nap, and I think that that will happen towards the end of the year, then we get, again, all the excitement, fluctuations in the market, big news stories, etc. So today we are doing tropical Western astrology, and this means that when you're listening to the different signs, you want to first listen to your ascending sign. That's your rising sign, because that is going to tell you what's happening in your life. You can also listen to your sun sign, and that's going to tell you more about the lessons that you have to learn during this time. Now, if you don't know your rising sign, your ascending sign, you can send me your birth information, and I'll send you a PDF of your chart. And if you are very interested in astrology, for instance, the houses, there is a free PDF on my website when you sign up for my newsletter. And I've been beefing up my newsletter, adding more content to that, so I hope you will sign up for it. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of wisdom, knowledge, also education and travel. And then Jupiter in Pisces is sitting in your 12th house, and that's about spirituality, intuition, and that ability to go beyond what is just every day. And so this combination is very interesting. And what it really says is there is a very active guardian angel in your life right now. There is more protection, more guidance that you can get now. And that means you could be receiving messages, you could have dreams. You also, when you have an active guardian angel, it means that maybe you have situations where you need this additional protection and it is there for you. And so this is, not necessarily stopping you from doing anything, because the guardian angel is just there to make sure that you don't get into, a serious problem. But it is also saying that you have an opportunity to learn or have an adventure or to move forward on something, knowing there is a little bit of a safety net here. It's quite possible you'll be receiving a lot of information over these next few weeks, and so you want to maybe journal the ideas that are coming to you or talk it out with a friend, because you could receive a lot of information. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, there's no aspect going on between the Sun and Mars. And as I said in the intro, there's very few aspects in this chart. And so that means for a lot of areas of your life and everybody's life, it's just kind of on pause. It's interesting because the Sun and Moon are elevated in your chart, which means you are noticeable, but your attention seems to be elsewhere, that you are working on your own projects. And so love comes knocking on your door. You may not notice or hear the knock. And so at this time, it's something you would really have to actively work on if you want to make a connection. Otherwise, just wait until after this 2-week period. And as we get towards full moon, the energy could be quite different. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, again, no aspect this time between Venus and Mars. So things are just kind of disconnected between the two of you. That means that maybe you're just off doing your own things, coming together, maybe for a meal, maybe not even that. Maybe you're just watching TV together and that's it, not necessarily working on the relationship. And that's okay. Sometimes you don't need to do that because you're working on other things. So it doesn't look like there's disharmony. It just looks like there's not a lot of energy that is bringing you closer together. So I think it's kind of status quo. I thought we'd take a look at friendships today, and we do have an aspect for you there, which is interesting. So Mars is making a semi-sextile to Uranus. So that is an energy of needing to do some sort of little detail to move something forward. And so it's possible if you look through your texts or you look through your emails, you'll find that you had a note from somebody that you want to stay in contact with, but somehow you missed the note or realize that they missed your note. And so that's why they haven't contacted you. So taking care of that little detail could strengthen a friendship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is in your 9th house of education. And so you might be taking a course on money. You might actually be sitting down in some sort of classroom. You might do something that's self-study. You might be teaching someone about money, and therefore you're learning in the process as well. It's also possible that you are doing some work with someone overseas because this is about travel. And so maybe you are importing a product or looking to export something, or that you are contacting someone because the business offices happen to be overseas. Venus is also in your house of legal matters, and so this may mean that you are finishing up a contract, maybe doing something for your website, maybe the terms and conditions. Maybe you are doing something that is involving, I don't know, an agreement of some sort, or like some sort of government licensing that can also come up with this placement. Now, when it comes to money derived from career or traditional investments, Venus is making a semi-square to Pluto. So that means that you're probably making more money than usual, but it is a little bit of an effort. A semi-square is not easy, and so you're probably working more hours or doing things that are a little bit outside your comfort zone, but it is paying off in the long run. Then when it comes to money derived from career, Venus is making an inconjunct to Uranus. So the aspect is there. There is a potential to make more money. However, some sort of adjustment has to be made either on your side or on their side. So that might mean that it's not necessarily the usual time that they give out raises, but you're going to ask anyway, or that they want you to adjust on the amount that you're going to receive. So I do see some opportunities there. It's not the easiest of energy because, as I said, somebody or both of you have to adjust, but there is some potential. Now, when it comes to bigger projects, anything from risky investments to the big projects that you're trying to launch, because Venus is in the same sign as the new moon and it's elevated in your chart, this is an okay time to launch something important. So, but there is no aspect right now between the sun and Venus, and so therefore you may not see the profits for a while. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of resources from others, and so that's everything from information and a helping hand to actual money. And then Jupiter in Pisces is in your 11th house, and that rules both the future as well as the community and also friendships. And so there is a tie here with how you're interacting with the community and where you see your community going and how much in resources you could receive. So the connection could be, is your town growing, or are things contracting? Are you connecting and networking with people who could then put you into the information that you need or the resources that you want? So there is a connection going on here. And so this might be a time to be more social, but being social for a specific purpose of making connections with people that you can help who can help you. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you actually have an excellent chart going on because you're one of the few who got an aspect here, and that is that Venus is conjunct the Mercury and it's in the house of intimacy. And so you could meet someone with whom you have a really almost instant connection where you feel like you've known this person before, and it's quite possible there is some sort of past life connection, or that your charts just mesh, which is wonderful. So this is a time, if you've been thinking about going out with someone, like do that blind date that your friends want to fix you up on, or get out there and do online dating, because there is some very good energy at this time. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making a semi-square with Pluto. So it's an aspect, and an aspect is good because that causes an interaction. But this is a little bit of a challenging aspect. And what we see based on the house placement is that there may be something that's important going on with you, and you're feeling that your partner is not maybe supporting you enough in this, or taking care of the things that they had promised to do, or it's vice versa. And so it is like you want to be sensitive to each other and recognize that one or both of you are kind of irritated right now, and this could cause you to come together and really support each other and bring this relationship closer, or you are just irritated with each other, which can make it stressful. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Mercury, which is sitting there with your sign ruler in a money house. So this is really good energy, and it's all really here when you ask. So this is about you communicating for what it is that you want. And so first you might start with what your goals are, and then look around and see who you could talk to, whether that is somebody who could give you a loan, or somebody who could give you advice about investing, or a person like a supervisor who could get you more money. Maybe it's the customer that you want to sell to. So this is about putting out that information of what it is you're looking for. And you could do that in person, or you could do that, maybe through marketing or online. So, but the energy is quite good. It also, because this is very much about information-rich activities, struggling with my words today. Information-rich activities, this means to dive into the information available to you for getting investments going, for expanding your business, etc. So that is, study, research, and things like that. That directly leads to more money in your pocket in the near future. Now, when it comes to money from your business or traditional investments, even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter, Mercury's in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, and they're both in money houses. So you do have some very good energy here for making more money than usual. Again, this is all predicated on this idea of you going out and spreading the word, because Sagittarius is about making an announcement. When it comes to money derived from your career, so like a paycheck, it's slightly different, where the connection leads to more perks that you might get from a company. So this would be like a 401k match, or some sort of flexible schedule, or maybe more time off, or something like that. So you do show that your work situation can improve, but it may not be actual cash in your pocket. It may be much more likely that you're getting some flexibility somewhere, and that can benefit you in some way. Now, when it comes to riskier investments, or launching something that you've been working on a while, like a new business, or, sending off your screenplay, Mercury here conjunct the Venus, which is your chart ruler, in a money house, all bodes very well. Now, it's really the one thing that's interesting about this is traditionally there are three hidden houses. There is the 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. And so this energy in the 8th house is not hidden from the world, but hidden from you. And so it almost feels like you're sending something out, and you don't know what's going to happen to it. Like you're sending out your little screenplay baby, and you don't know whose arms it's going to land in. And so it can feel a little bit risky. But this is really good energy, and so if you want to do a launch right now, this is a good time. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of relationships, but it's also about partnerships, collaborations, connections with others, and this is connected to that Jupiter in your 10th house of career. So this means that someone you just met could bring you a job opportunity, or someone that you meet at work could bring you a relationship opportunity, where when you meet someone, they could introduce you to someone, and then all of a sudden you are having lunch with Oprah. This is where your social standing and your reputation can go up because of the people that you're meeting. So this is very good energy for you, especially if you're feeling social these days. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is conjunct Mercury in a relationship house. It doesn't get much better than this. The new moon is in that house. Like, everything is lined up for you to meet someone new. So if you've been waiting to do this, now's the time to get your online profile done, to get with your matchmaker, to tell your friends and family that it's okay to fix you up. This is where energy is lining up. So, and I know that this is not the only time you're going to get, but this one is so good. Like, try to make the time to get out there and be social. Now, when it comes to existing love relationship, even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter, Mercury's in Sagittarius, which is ruled by that Jupiter. So they are still talking, they're connected. And that bodes very well for your love relationship. The two of you can get closer together, you can work out some problems, your communication seems to be more in harmony. It's like you're having a good time together. And so this can really help strengthen the relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that moon in the 7th house. So I'm a little bit of a broken record here when I say it's all about the people you're meeting. That means that maybe you're going out on LinkedIn, beefing up your profile there, and then reaching out to people who work for companies that you want to work for, or reaching out to colleagues that you used to work with and seeing what they're up to. This could be that you are finding a business partner to collaborate with, that you are finding new followers, new people to connect with. So very good energy, especially when you're meeting new people or doing different types of marketing. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the moon's not making an aspect with Saturn. And so what it's looking like to me is that for your business, that some sort of paperwork has to be done, or that you're still working on your marketing campaign or something like that. It looks like more content is needed, and then you're ready to launch. And so you might look at that. When it comes to your traditional investments, it may mean that you are just in a buy and hold situation, or that you're having to read over different prospectuses to decide what new investment to do. Maybe you are just on a dollar cost averaging, and so it's not very exciting right now. It's just, the market goes lower and you get a few more shares. The market goes higher, you get a few less shares, and it all evens out. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, now that Jupiter's out of that house and we see no aspect between the moon and Mars, right now is not a good time to be asking for a raise. So if this was the time, like this is the time where you are expecting to have a review or something like that, I would say that, maybe don't push it right now. And then later when this lines up, you can go back and say, hey, I didn't push it before and now I'm pushing it. So, but mostly I see you're making about the same as usual. And so because Jupiter right now is out of this house. Now, when it comes to risky investments or money from something big that you're going to launch, like your own business or your artwork or something like that, even though the moon is not making an aspect to Venus, the moon's going to catch that Venus. So like things are getting closer. And I love the fact that everything is elevated. Well, not elevated, but it's visible. It's on the horizon. And so they're together in where they can be seen. So this is at least a time to do a soft launch. And what can happen is that one person can take what it is that you're launching and take it to a much wider audience. So this is a time to specifically reach out to individuals, like maybe somebody that you want to have on your podcast, or send your products to an influencer or something like that. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of health, well-being, and your daily routines. And this is connected to that Jupiter, which is elevated in your chart. It's at that highest point where you can receive a lot of help and is in your house of knowledge and wisdom. And so this is basically you saying to the universe, hey, I need some help in this area. And then the information that you want or you're looking for appears, and it may take the form of a teacher or a practitioner or some random video that you find on YouTube, but the information that you're looking for will be there and it will go ding in your head, and then you will say, I've got my answer. Of course, it's necessary to be asking the right questions. And so if you have been working on something for a long time, notice the question you keep asking yourself and the universe, and then switch that question up so that you can get new information. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon is making a sextile to Pluto. That is a great opportunity. Pluto is in your house of relationships. And even though the moon is it's a little bit more hidden, it is part of your daily routine. So that could mean meeting someone who, is just at the Starbucks that you go to all the time, or at your grocery store, or at the post office, like part of your normal routine. And that includes, if your normal routine is to use online dating on a regular basis, then the person could be there. Or, maybe you have a favorite restaurant that you go to pick up food. Maybe instead of waiting in your car, maybe go in and sit and see who you meet. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon is not making an aspect with Saturn. And because the moon is in your house of routines, it's probable that the two of you are just so busy just trying to take care of everyday things that you're not really coming together to work on the relationship or go dancing or things like that. It just looks like you're awfully busy. And so this relationship, while you're not working on things and not trying to really strengthen the relationship, it's okay, because you both have your roles and you're doing things. And so there is some harmony that exists here. It's just that you're not necessarily coming together and having this amazing time. Now, I just wanted to mention that in your area of friendships, I don't often talk about friendships, but it's the connection between Moon and Venus for you, and they're both on the same sign, and the Moon is catching up with Venus, and so there is some energy here of you catching up with a new friend, or it's somebody that you have as a friend in the past, and maybe you was separated for a while, maybe they live far away, or one or both of you are in relationships and caught up with family and stuff, but now you have an opportunity to catch up with each other and make that connection better. So you have some good energy around friendships during this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun, which is directly connected to that Jupiter, which is so elevated in your chart. And so it really comes down to what questions are you asking yourself, because this is a direct line to basically the library of the universe to give you the information that you need. So this would be, how could I do this? And what's the easiest way to do it? How can I make my annual income my monthly income? How could I take a leap forward and do what I want to do over a year, but do it in just 12 weeks? So all of these different questions are available to you. And as you ask them, then you go and rest and be quiet. That's part of this energy. You nap a little bit, and then you wake up with the answer. And so that's something that can happen over this 2-week period. So have your journal ready or record it into your phone, because you're probably going to get a lot of ideas during this time. And just on a kind of a personal note, it was interesting because I had this experience recently where a lot of people had come to me and they said, oh, I have an idea for you. And I was like, no. And I was saying no so much. And I had to stop and go, okay, I'm getting this idea over and over from different people. And I keep saying no. But when I stopped and looked at it, it was actually the solution I was looking for. I just had to get past my no. So, also recognize that even if you're saying no to something, jot it down. It may be the answer. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, it looks like you're making about the same as usual. It's clear that you're doing a lot of work on your business or your investments. You seem to be working very hard. It is possible that the money is just coming outside this 2-week period. But what also can happen is maybe you are working on your business where in a way that is not necessarily bringing you the best results. Maybe you are doing things that you're comfortable with, but you need to do the harder things because Saturn is up in that house. Now, you're not doing an aspect to that Saturn right now, and that's one of the reasons why there's not a connection to the money. Well, and I should say more specifically, the sun's not making an aspect to Uranus. That is also very important. These will line up in the future. And so looking at what you're doing and saying, is this the most effective thing I can do? Is this the thing that's going to, bring me the profits? That's the type of question to be asking yourself during this time. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, Venus is not making an aspect with the sun, but they are in the same sign and in the same house. And it's likely that these two are going to come together very, very soon. So it looks like in this 2-week period, it's not quite time yet, but it will be very soon. So get ready. The universe will show you an opportunity for you to go up to your supervisor and ask, or your supervisor will make some comment like, you should be getting more money. And then you can jump right in and say, yes, I agree. So this is going to line up pretty soon. Now, when it comes to risky investments or with things that you're about to launch, the sun is making a sextile to Pluto. So there is an opportunity here. It's an interesting connection because Pluto is in your house of relationships and connections and could bring somebody of influence to you. And yet the sun is down below the horizon. And so this may be that you are doing some sort of test marketing or sending out a sample to someone, but this could be, like a tiny little bit of a launch. It's a sextile, so you have to initiate the energy, but there could be some really good things that come of it. Okay, Leo, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of creativity and pleasurable activities, and this is connected to that Jupiter in your house of resources. And so what this is talking about is figuring out what it is that you want and then recognizing that right now the luck and opportunities are with the resources that are available. And in this very resource-rich world right now, it's just a matter of connecting the dots between where you are and where those resources are. And so this is your opportunity, first, to define what it is that you want, and then second, to allow the universe to guide you to it. And this also is a new moon that is in your area of children. And so that means you might be helping your kids with this concept. This is also about relationships, especially romantic ones. And so this also says lots of resources in this area. So lots of new people to meet or help for when you're getting into a relationship to figure out, how to make things work. So this is this great combination that you have this time. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, things are really looking very good for you because not only is the sun making a trine to Jupiter, but you have the sun, moon, Venus, and Mercury in that house. That is a lot. So right now, this is your opportunity to go out and meet new people. So put yourself in target-rich environments where you can meet a lot of people, or go online and start, talking to people there. Maybe look at getting a matchmaker, let your friends and family fix you up. This is a great window for you where you could meet someone and have a really great connection. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, unless you are thinking in romantic terms, if you're just more thinking of the day-to-day, there's no aspect going on between the sun and Uranus, and so pretty much you're just doing your own thing. So you can come together for romantic encounters, and that has some really good energy. But in general, it looks like you're both doing the different tasks that you do, your separate duties in the relationship, and not necessarily coming together unless you set it up, unless you schedule it. So, tell your partner that you want to have a date with them. And I think that could go very well. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury, which is in the same sign as your chart ruler, which is the sun, even though they're not conjunct. And it is making a trine to Jupiter in your house of resources. So there is some real opportunities when you have the idea that if you step out the door, you can find some ways to make it happen. And maybe that is funding for your business. Maybe that is a partner. Maybe that is someone who can build the website for you or do the back office. There is some real steps that you can take from where you are now to where you want to be because you have that connection to the resources. So this is a really good time for you right now. Just be jotting down ideas that you have as you come onto, like helpful YouTube videos, push that like button and say, okay, I'm going to remember this video. And that way you can go back to it and, take notes from it. So this is where you're getting lots of information, and as you move forward on it, resources open up. Now, when it comes to traditional investments and money derived from your business, you're making about the same as usual. Things are moving along. The new ideas that you're having, you haven't implemented yet, so those will show up as, bumps up later. So you may be getting new ideas about investments or marketing things, but right now it doesn't look like you have had time to implement them. So as I said, you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, so like a paycheck, the interesting thing is that Mercury will move to make an inconjunct to Uranus, and Uranus is in your house of career. And so there are some changes going on in your business right now, or I should say in your company right now. And these could cause a supervisor to say no to a raise or say that there's some sort of constricting going on in the business. And so right now it's mostly saying that you would have to make some adjustments. So that is, if you were to get a raise, you have to take on more responsibility or work more hours or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily look like a great deal for you right now. So you may want to just wait until this energy lines up better in the future. Now, when it comes to risky investments, as well as, taking a project that you've been working on for a while and launching that project, the energy for the launch looks really good because even though Mercury is not making a direct aspect to Jupiter, Mercury is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So they have this sort of secondary connection. But more importantly, you have such a strong house of creativity and risk-taking that this is a time to really consider launching what it is you've been working on for some time. So you have a lot of potential here. If there are still details that you want to do, maybe do a smaller launch, maybe just tell a few people about it, but just something to get it going. Okay, Virgo, you are doing this new moon in your fourth house. Fourth house is about home and family, but it's also your foundation. It is basically what you came into this world with, the talents and abilities and all of that energy that you draw from your ancestors. And this is connected to that Jupiter, which is in your house of relationships. So what this is about expanding your spiritual family. That is that, if there are people out there who make chart connections with you or soul connections with you, you can find them at this time. And that is, you might say, all right, I want to find a new place to live. And so therefore you visualize first that you're connecting well with the landlord or with the seller of the property. And that's when you find the right place. Or if you're looking for a job, again, you're visualizing that you're finding a home somewhere where the manager is really supportive, where you like the work, etc. And so you first start with that, drawing in the energy that you have from your ancestors and then connecting with someone who has a connection to your bigger spiritual family. So this is really good energy for you, I think, especially if you are ready to visualize for what it is that you want. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though you have Jupiter in your house of relationships, when it comes to meeting someone new, then we do see some challenges. So it's more likely that you would start going out with someone you had maybe gone out with once before, or maybe you know this person already, and so you start dating the person because maybe you were just friends before, or you were coworkers before, and now you could date. And so it's less about meeting someone brand new and more about having a connection that is somehow already established for this new love. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy here is very comfortable. It's not a direct aspect. It is the Mercury's in Sagittarius, which is ruled by that Jupiter in Pisces, which is conjunct the Neptune. Like it's this kind of, connect the dots sort of thing. And so the two of you are quite comfortable together this time, that you are just falling into some sort of routine, that you are, living your own lives in harmony. So it's just moving together very nicely. So I think that ultimately, if you step back, this could make your relationship closer. But in general, what this means is that you just feel calm and peaceful around each other. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is conjunct Mercury, which is your planet ruler. And so there is more opportunities now for you to have an idea and then immediately find some opportunity to implement it. And so that means someone could come and help you. You might find the resources you need to do it. You may just find support at home where someone says, wow, that's a really fantastic idea. I think you should move forward on it. It also does mean that money that you were feeling like was out there for you is now starting to come in. So money that was owed to you can come in. Also, money that is connected to some sort of business or sale of property, that seems to be coming in as well. Now, when it comes to money from your business or from traditional investments, it looks like you're making about the same as usual. And it's possible, even though that your profits are a little bit less, just because of some annual bills that you're paying or some one-time charges. So it looks like those are happening. Those are actually strengthening your business. They are things that, that you needed to pay anyway, like invoices, for maybe your accounting services or some annual subscriptions, and that they are integral for your business. So you're showing that you have that outgo, but in general, for the most part, you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, so like a paycheck, this is probably not the time to be asking for a raise, because I think that they would just saddle you with more responsibilities. There's no aspect going on between the moon and Libra. The moon and Venus, and so that does mean that that there's a kind of a disconnect, that you can't get a hold of your manager, or your manager's already been told that they can't give out raises at the moment. So you can certainly get more work. I just don't think you can get more money at this time, and so therefore you probably just want to wait until this energy lines up better in the future. When it comes to risky investments or launching something that you've been working on for a while, this is not quite the time to do it, because there's no aspect between Venus and Saturn. The house is empty at the moment. It is not going to stay empty. This energy is going to shift a lot over the next few weeks, so you just want to wait right now. So continue to work on your projects, maybe finish up some things or go through the fine-tuning of it. Maybe, do a little bit of test marketing here and there, but it's not quite time for a launch. Okay, Libra, you guys are doing this new moon in your area of thinking process, and it is connected to Jupiter, which is in your house of daily routines. And so this is very much about connecting what you do on a daily basis to how you talk to yourself. So that is, if you come to the end of the day and you say, I shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have bought that, and I shouldn't have eaten this, that's the thing to change, is so that you come to the end of the day and you say, I'm really proud of what I did. And not trying to think of it in terms of, this has to go on for months and months, or this has to go on forever, but just say to yourself as you approach each opportunity during the day, at the end of the day, am I going to look back on this and say, wow, I'm really proud of what I did? This is also where your luck is in this area of health and well-being. And so that means you could find the information that you're looking for, like a practitioner who can help diagnose what's going on with you or give you some regimen that's really going to help you. And so that is also something that you can tap into. You tell the universe, this is the problem, I'm looking for a solution. And then you can see that, opportunities come up to find the right help. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making an inconjunct to Uranus, which is a really interesting combination because this is one of those aspects that say you could meet someone, but they're not going to be anything that you were expecting. They may be so different than anybody you've ever dated in the past that you hadn't even considered them, but there could be a real love connection there. So this also could be that it's the method that you're using that you never considered before. So maybe you've always said no to online dating, but somebody talks you into it, and that's when you meet someone. Or you've never gone to a speed dating thing or a social event out there. You've always just stayed back and done the online dating. So it's either that the person is quite different or the method of meeting the person is quite different, and that's what makes the connection. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Venus and Mars, and you still have Chiron there, and you will have Chiron there for some time. But when there's no aspect to help that energy, what happens is that it's necessary to work out some of the issues that you have with each other. And so it's possible that, you have some time where you can sit down and talk through some of, things that have been said in the past, or maybe you're just saying, you know what, I'm going to forgive the past and we're just going to start fresh right now. So either of those two scenarios can work. That's where the focus is on communication and healing for your love relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Pluto in the 4th and Mars in the 9th, and you're going to hear me be a little broken record about that for the next few months. And that is because Mars is retrograde, and so it's going to be stuck in that 9th house for a while, and Pluto moves very, very slowly. And so this is giving you extra time to get the education that you need, because Mars in the 9th house says, go learn what it is that you need to know about handling money, about making money, about amassing it, about investing it. So that's a time to take courses, to study different videos on YouTube, to listen to podcasts, to read books on it. So as you learn about it, and maybe you're only investing $1, like literally just investing the smallest amount possible, but that gets you into the market and then you start to pay attention to it. Or maybe you're starting a business in the smallest way that you can, just a single product or a single service that you're offering. But this is where these two planets right now are just going to go back and forth in these areas to tell you that you have extra time right now to work on these, because once these two planets are gone from these areas, especially with Pluto, it's not coming back in your lifetime, and Mars won't be back to this place for a couple of years. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Venus is making a semi-square to Pluto, and this means that there's opportunities to make more money over this 2-week period, but they are predicated on this idea of doing something that's hard. It's outside of your comfort zone. And so you probably know immediately what that is. It may be approaching someone who owes you money, maybe, cold calling some customers. It may be that you need to look at your operation and start to streamline that, even to the point of maybe letting an employee go. So you're having to do something hard, and that brings you more profits. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, you actually are having a pretty unique situation compared to a lot of the other signs, because the sun is making a sextile to Pluto. You're one of the few who are doing an aspect, which means you are one of the few who could possibly get a raise. And that is, if you are willing to ask, if you're willing to sit down with the manager, you may have to corner the person and say, let's do my review. but you have an opportunity either to get a raise with your current company or to negotiate a higher salary with a new job. So both of those are possibilities, but you have better energy than most right now for this. So if you see an opening, you may want to sit down with your supervisor. Now, when it comes to risky investments or launching something, you do show some energy with a co-ruler of your second house, Mars, which is making a trine to Saturn and a semi-sextile to Uranus. So the combination of those is that there's some sort of little detail that you need to finish, and when you do, things just come together. And so if you're looking to launch, I think that there is a couple little details. Maybe the website's not completely finished. Maybe you have to test the shopping cart. Maybe you have to, phone up the person that you're going to be selling to. Some small detail. And then once you do that, everything just starts to roll into place. So this is a good time to launch. It is probably one of the best times you've had this year. And so if you're ready, it's time to launch. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of money, and it is making that connection to Jupiter, where the luck is in your house of pleasure, fun activities, and risk-taking. And so this is about you moving forward on some sort of project that's going to increase your bottom line. Now, this doesn't mean just throwing caution to the wind and not doing your due diligence. This is very much about, taking calculated risks. This is not doing something that's wild and crazy. So, but if this is something that you have been working on in the past, like you have done all of the vetting of it, you've learned about it, etc. Right now, taking a risk and moving forward on this, whether it's starting a business or getting a creative project off the ground, you have really good energy to support this now. Now, the thing that I will say is that we live in a world right now where consuming content is super easy and creating content in comparison is challenging. And this wasn't always so. There was a time when it was a little bit more equal. It was equally difficult to find the content to consume as it was to create content. So, but if creating content is one of your goals, and that can be creating art or doing a podcast or, creating a business, anything that you are trying to create right now, you'll have to watch out for distractions, because if you will focus, you can create some things that are extraordinary right now. That is, though, if you can shift your energy towards trying to create more than you consume. And that is with content. And so looking at that right now, sometimes with all of the Sagittarius energy that you're doing, you'll be saying, well, I got to learn this, I have to learn that. But this is a time where you should learn something and then take that information and create something, and so that there is some balance. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, Pluto's making a sextile to Neptune, plus you have Neptune conjunct Jupiter in that house. So this is and continues to be one of the best times for you to meet someone new. This is going to go on for several weeks, but you don't really want to miss this opportunity if you are looking for love. So if you are, start to figure out what the block is, why, you feel that you're held back in this area. Talk to friends, make some changes, because it looks like love is there waiting for you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Pluto is making a semi-square to Venus. And so the two of you can come together to work on something that's difficult. And if you don't, you will have some difficulty between the two of you. So it would be better to, unite forces and try to build some really complex IKEA furniture, or to work on the business together, or to work on the home together, versus trying to work something out with each other, because that's where I think you're going to hit some stumbling blocks. Now, when it comes to your money, you have some extraordinary energy here because you're pulling energy from that Jupiter, which is connected to the Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury, which are in Sagittarius in your money house. That all says that there are multiple ways for you to make money. And maybe that's what the focus should be right now, is how many different sources of income can you create? How many different sources can you start to grow in your life? So there are many, many ideas coming in, lots of inspiration. And so if you're finding that, that you don't feel inspired, look at changing your questions. The Sagittarius energy says, ask different questions, and then you'll start to get the answers. Now, when it comes to money from your business or money from traditional investments, you're making about the same as usual because there's no aspect going on between Jupiter and Mercury. So a lot of the ideas that you have, you are not, maybe they're not yet implemented, maybe you haven't received the money from them. So you have the potential of more money down the road. Right now, you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, even though there's no aspect between Mercury and Jupiter, there's this connection because Mercury's in Sagittarius, which Jupiter rules. And so therefore, it is likely you can make more money than usual. Plus, you have Mars there, so you're taking a lot of action in this area. So I think this could be a very strong money month, even if it takes a little while for that check to come to you. So it's like the money is there and you can see it coming. And I do think that it will be larger than usual. I think, though, it may come right at the end of this 2-week cycle. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, you do have that same sort of chain of events that are happening, which is Mercury in Sagittarius, ruled by that Jupiter. Jupiter's in that house of creativity, so you may go to your supervisor and suggest some different solutions to things, some creative ideas, and this could help launch you into a stronger position to get a raise. I do think you could get a raise during this time because your money house is so active. It's also possible, though, that you're getting more hours, more responsibility along with that. So you kind of want to create the position that would be good for you. So have those ideas ready when you approach your boss. And then finally, when we look at risky investments, as well as creating something and then launching that, the energy is quite good. Because again, we've got this sort of mix of the Mercury's in Sagittarius, ruled by that Jupiter in Pisces, conjunct Neptune in that house. So your money houses are so active right now. So I think this is a great time for you to launch something. Maybe that is your art project, your screenplay, your business. And so if you've been on the sidelines, if you've been, kind of in the weeds of it, really trying to figure it out, now's the time to at least start putting it out there to some people if you don't think it's ready, or to do a big launch. Okay, Sagittarius, you are the lucky ones this time because this is a new moon in your own sign and it has a connection to that Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. So let's start off first with it's a new moon in your sign. This starts your new 12-month cycle. And so the more new things that you can do over the next 30 days, the better, because these are seeds that you're planting for a harvest in the future. Now, the things, though, that you want to plant are not just doing actions out in the world, but also, stating to the universe what it is you want, sending that spiritual message so that opportunities can come to you. That is doing a vision board or writing your goals or doing affirmations or a visualization, because this tells the universe what destination you want. And look at destinations for a 1 month, 12-month, and then going beyond that. So to many years in the future. So looking at that, and if you struggle with that, then start with some area where it's a little bit easier. Look at how you could progress to a place. I see two things that happen. Like one where people get extremely down into the weeds and they say, you know, well, I want to make sure that I have the refrigerator cleaned out by this date. You know, I want to make sure that I, talk to this person on this date. And then the opposite is that they go way out in the future and they say, well, I want to make $1 billion. So, and so somewhere in between where you just stretch yourself a bit, where you say, okay, here's something where I'd like to complete it within a year. How can I get it done in 12 weeks instead of 12 months? That sort of idea. So, but most importantly, when you tell the universe what it is that you're considering, what it is that you want, then the universe sets up opportunities to help you out. And that is that the universe will give you gifts along with lessons along the way, because that's why we're here. We're here to learn lessons. And so there's always the gift with the lesson. And so this is, again, a really extraordinary time for you. Everything's lined up for you to ask for big things and put yourself on a path that is quite different maybe than you've had in the past, where you are trusting in yourself, trusting in the process, and then along the way, the universe will open up and help you. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, there is no aspect going on between Mars and Jupiter. Mars is in a relationship house, but it's retrograde. So I think that when it comes to new love, it's more likely that you are getting together with somebody that you already know. Maybe they were a friend, maybe they were a coworker. Instead of meeting someone who is brand new to you, I think this person is coming from your past, and therefore you are seeing whether this is going to be a relationship that works for you. And, you know, because there is no aspect here, I think that means that it's also good for you to go back into, your online dating and look at people that you passed up and ask yourself why you were passing this person up. And then maybe reconsider it, or at least kind of understand more about what you're looking for. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, we have this interesting connection that Mercury is in Sagittarius, and that is ruled by that Jupiter. And so you have luck in this area. I feel like the two of you are coming back together and you're closer than ever. But it's interesting because if there are some problems in the relationship that you are not working out, it's kind of like you're on a little hiatus about it, or you have like a ceasefire going on, so that the next 2 weeks could be quite pleasant between the two of you, but it doesn't mean that a problem is solved. It just means that this isn't necessarily the time that you guys want to work on it. So I'm seeing harmony, but come after this 2 weeks, you may need to work on some of the issues. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Saturn, which Mars, being retrograde, is going to come back and make a lovely trine to that. And that is really going to be helpful. Mars is in your house of collaboration, mentors, influencers, all these people that you could meet that could really help you in a financial sense. So it may be that you are meeting someone who has the knowledge that you're looking for, or who wants to do a business partnership with you. So this is very much a time to be reaching out to others, people you want to work with and people you want to work for. This is where the money lies for you. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money derived from your business, you're making about the same as usual. It looks like that the connections that you're making, those are happening, but they're not yet bringing money into your bank account. So I think that the money comes outside of this 2-week period. I think that you have a lot of opportunities to really put yourself forward on some new projects. Again, those aren't mature enough yet to bring you the money. So I think that comes in the future. So you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, which would be like a paycheck, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, but that Venus is still very strong in your chart. And so I think that you are collecting together some of the information that you will need to present to your supervisor as a reason to get a raise. But I don't see right now that they are coming to you saying, we should give you more money. And so, not that ever happens anyway. So this is a time where you're beefing up your resume or your list of accomplishments so that in the future, when this energy lines up, it will be easy for you to get more money. Now, when it comes to risky investments and launching something that you've been working on for a long time, that Mars, as I said, is moving back to make a lovely trine to Saturn. So you are probably getting ready to do something that is important from this area. And that could be that you're launching a business or your podcast or your YouTube channel or something. And so now is the time. You are you're right in the starting gate. And so the flag is going to go up. I think that's kind of a mixed metaphor, but you know what I mean. It is right here, right now, that you need to get this started. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's this big fanfare because you have almost every planet below the horizon. This is a time to launch, figure out whatever bugs are happening, get those fixed, because then as all of this energy gets higher up in your chart, then you'll have opportunities for new business and money. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of intuition, psychic ability, also in that sort of, introspection, looking at your shadow self, deciding where, what needs to change in your life. And that is making a connection to Jupiter in your house of thinking process. So this is about learning to think differently, or as you meditate, taking in the ideas and the information from the universe and processing that. Now, the interesting thing is that you're at the last month of your 12-month cycle. And so this is a time to be thinking about what has worked for you over the last 12 months and what has not worked, seeing what you can get rid of, and then making some plans for what you want to launch next month at the next new moon when it is your new moon. So this is a very important time for you to be focused on opportunities and all that, not to run out and get those right now, but to have the plans ready. And that could be visualizations, goal boards, affirmations that you're doing, so that you're doing the spiritual work to get yourself ready for this next 12-month cycle. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, and yet there is some energy here for that somebody is pursuing you, but they're not exactly the type you were expecting. It's also interesting because you're not making yourself very available. And so this person may really have to make an effort to try to find you. And so for the most part, it looks like unless you're really looking for new love, you are staying a little bit behind the scenes. And as people approach, you may be saying, this person's quite different than what I was looking for. And so you're passing them up. Now, when we look at existing love relationships, it is interesting because they can go two ways. One way is that you are very much isolated right now. So maybe your partner is off doing something else. Maybe they're visiting relatives. And so you are by yourself. Or it's the two of you have escaped to something like a holiday, or you're together by yourselves. And so either way, there is a sense that you have kind of peace and contentment. So I don't see difficulties in your relationship, even if you're separated from your partner. But if you are together, it's like the two of you are just doing something that's external to the relationship. So like if you're traveling, then you're sightseeing and or maybe visiting other people. And so the focus is less on the relationship and more on things that are outside of you. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Uranus, as well as the Saturn, which is in a money house. And the good news is they're no longer making that square. So the square was about deconstructing something to rebuild it in a better way. So now you're at the rebuilding part where you want to take the pieces of whatever it was and fit it back together and discard the things that were not working. And so that might mean finding a way to be more productive at home if you work at home. Maybe this is finding a way to streamline your business and automate some of the parts of it. Maybe you have eliminated some useless tasks. So this is all about you finding the core reason that you're doing something and what the one thing that will move that ship forward at a better speed. That is what to be focused on right now. This is the rebuilding process of something that you've been deconstructing for actually more than a year. So now you know the pieces that work, the pieces that don't, and it's time to build something new. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus. And so the energy is very much about just status quo. Like, I feel like you're rebuilding, but what you're rebuilding isn't done yet. And so the business, you're trying to maintain the business while you know that you're going to be launching a new website or new services, or you're going to do something in the future, but it's not quite yet. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, so like a paycheck, there is a loose connection here because Mars is making a trine with Saturn. And so Mars is going back, it's retrograde. And so I feel like if you've already started this process, if you were already talking to your supervisor about a raise, then it's possible. But I don't think at this late stage of your 12-month cycle that you could initiate this conversation. You would have to probably wait at least a month. So if this is something you're already talking about, definitely pursue it because the aspect is there. But if this is something brand new, you may have to wait. Now, when it comes to risky investments or launching something that's big and important, Venus is making it in conjunct to Uranus. So it's telling you to adjust. And so you may be thinking of what the obstacle is. Maybe something is an obstacle and you've been waiting. How can you adjust? How can you go around it? How can you change it? How can you look at it differently so that you can move this forward? This is not the easiest of energy, so you could wait and do your launch until the energy lines up a little bit better, but it is still an aspect. And so there is the potential of something happening here, but it's requiring you to step out of your comfort zone and do something that's a little bit different to make this happen. Okay, Aquarius, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of friendships, community, technology, and the future, and it's connected to that Jupiter in your house of money. And so that is very much about meeting more people and connecting to the community and offering something to the community. And that's where then your luck with money is activated. And so that's anything from that somebody you know knows somebody who has a job opening, or that could become a customer. But it's also when you look at the community itself and say, well, you know, what's important to you? How do you want to improve the community? Then you could find the business idea that could really take off. So there is all of that. Now, that Jupiter in your second house also is about self-worth. And so that is also connected to friendships and the people that you meet. And so that is hanging out with the people who, you know, are where you're uplifting them, they're uplifting you, rather than hanging out with people that bring you down. So, and, you know, in a very basic sense, that is, you know, if you have a group of friends who eats healthy and a group of friends who eats a lot of junk food, you know, hang out with the healthy eaters, that sort of thing. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's making an inconjunct to Uranus, which means you could meet someone who's very different than you've ever dated before, and you could really hit it off. So if somebody wants to fix you up on a date, if a matchmaker is putting you together with someone and you say, well, they're not really my type, consider going on the date anyway, you could be really pleasantly surprised. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Sun and Uranus, and your Sun is in the house of friendships. And so I'm thinking that it's that you're either not spending a lot of time with your partner, that you're off doing separate things, or you are seeing like other couples, or you're doing social things together, but you're not very focused on each other. You're focused on something external. So the relationship's going along as it has been going. I don't see a lot of changes going on with it this time. Now, there is an extra thing that I want to add to yours, and I didn't do this for all the signs, but you're doing an aspect between yourself and your house of friendships, and your house of friendships is full right now. It's a semi-square between Jupiter and Uranus. And so this says that maybe don't like getting out so much anymore. Maybe you're out of practice. Maybe you go to these meetings and only one other person shows up. And so you think, why bother? So, but this is a really good time to look at getting new friends, expanding your circle of acquaintances, or getting involved in a group or organization. So I just wanted to add that little bit. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Neptune as well as Jupiter, which are both in a money house, and they are connected to the Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury, which are all in Sagittarius. So you have one of the best times for money that you've had in a long time. And so this is a time to launch. This is a time to really push a business forward or to ask for a raise. We'll get to the specifics on those in a second. But this is a time where you're getting a lot of ideas and a lot of help, so you want to move forward. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, I see you making a little bit more than usual. I think bigger money is coming down the road. What we see is Mercury is not making an aspect with Neptune. However, Mercury is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by that Jupiter, which is conjunct the Neptune. So it's like we have to connect a few dots, and that's probably the same that's happening in your business. And that you have to do a little bit extra to make the extra. So if you don't have the time or energy to do that, then you're making about the same as usual. On the other hand, by taking a few extra steps, you can make more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, like a paycheck, this is where you have the best energy. So if you're in a position right now where they're absolutely saying no raises for you, then you may not be at the right company and you want to look elsewhere because you have the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury all in that house, and the Mercury is the ruler of the 11th house is conjunct the ruler of the 2nd house. This is what we look for to see if the money that's out there is going to come to you. So bottom line is, that was a lot of technical stuff. Bottom line is, everything is lining up right now for you to get more money. And that means if you're getting a hard no from your supervisor, that's the universe saying you need to move on. And otherwise, it is quite likely that you'll be making more money because you're getting a raise, you're getting a bonus, getting better commission, you're getting something. Now, when it comes to risky investments or launching something like a creative project or a new business, we have some really interesting energy. Again, we're talking about that Mercury being ruled by the Jupiter in your money house. And so there is a lot of energy here about launching something to the public because you have 4 planets in that house of the public. So this is a really good time to focus outward and meet new people, connect to organizations or groups. That is where the launch seems to be the most successful. It's less about one-on-one right now. It's more about getting other people to tell people about your offering. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this new moon right at the top of your chart, which means you are more visible, you can make more connections, and it's in your house of career. So if you're looking for a new job or to move up in your current company, that is really, really good energy. This is all connected to Jupiter, which is now back in your sign, giving you luck again. And this is like some overarching luck in your life. So that means you can take more chances, take more risks when it comes to meeting new people, making connections, making money, etc. So you really want to use this time right now to push forward. This also includes making yourself more visible, maybe by doing more social media, publishing a book, putting out your podcast, building your audience. And even if you work for someone else, this may just mean beefing up your LinkedIn profile and making sure that all of your accomplishments are in your resume, that you keep your resume updated just in case a new opportunity presents itself. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, it's interesting because the moon is just out of orb of that Neptune. So the moon is very elevated. So it's like people are seeing you, but you're not connecting that they want to go out with you. And so you may have a friend, grab your sleeve and say, hey, that person's asking you out. So if you can go out into the world with a mindset that others are attracted to you right now, that you could meet someone, then you could see them them. But if you're just going along on your normal routine, it's like you're paying more attention to your groceries than you are what the person in front of you is saying. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, it looks like things are going along pretty much as they were before. The Mercury's not making a direct aspect to Neptune, and so everything's very elevated in the chart, which means that it's more about the public rather than what's going on at home. So now Mercury does rule the Gemini, which is where Mars is in your house of home and family, but those two planets aren't making an aspect. So again, I feel like so many things is pulling you out of the house, or that at least your mind is outside of the relationship right now, that you're not really working on the relationship. And that's okay. So I think that ultimately the relationship's pretty much just going on as it normally does. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mars, which is retrograde in Gemini, which means that you are looking at some different things that you have been working on before. So maybe you're continuing doing a writing project, or building your course, or starting a business, things like that. Now, you are doing some really interesting career energy because that Mars is in Gemini, which is ruled by the Mercury, and then Jupiter rules all of those guys in Sagittarius right at the top of your chart, which means that if you want to get a new job, you have really great opportunities in that area. So that's where, if you're looking for a job, that's where you should put some of your time and energy. And then the rest of this says that you're continuing to work on your side projects pretty effectively, it looks like. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual. And that is that all of this marketing that I'm seeing you doing, all this push out into the world, the money is coming in probably outside the 2-week period. So that is that I do see lots of stuff happening. This energy is going to line up very, very soon. It just hasn't quite lined up yet. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, that's like a paycheck. That's where the energy is really good. Saturn is making a trine to that Mars, and you have so much elevated. So it's like they can't say no to you much longer. And if they are, if you're in a company where they're saying, no, we have a complete freeze on raises, we can't, you can't get out of your position, that's a sign from the universe that you need to be looking around, because right now you have extraordinary energy for finding a great position. Maybe that position is within your company and in a different department, but because you're doing a different job, you get more money, or you're looking outside of the company. But if you, unless they have that hard line, we're not going to give you a raise, it really does look like you could get more money over this 2-week period. So sit your supervisor down and have that discussion. Now, when it comes to risky investments, or when you're trying to launch something, you have a little bit of a conflict here, because you do show that you are so visible right now, but we don't have an aspect between Moon and Mars. And so what it looks like is that it's almost launching by itself. See, you tell somebody, you tell your sister that you have this website, and then she tells everyone, but you weren't ready to launch. So it's almost like it's getting away from you. And so if you want to lock this down and not launch at this time, you're going to have to take some big steps to do so, like hiding the website or something. But what might be better is if this thing just starts to launch, if you tell one person and they then, tell everyone, just let it happen. Allow this to be out there, because you could get some really great publicity. It is also possible that somebody is asking for you to be on their podcast or be on their YouTube video, and you're feeling hesitant, like you don't want to be seen. And so that's, again, the conflict of wanting to build a business but not wanting to be seen. So right here, I think that it's time maybe to deal with that issue that to have somebody buy your products, they have to actually see them and touch them. And that may mean that they're seeing you as well. So again, all of this energy is going to line up better in the future, but I just want to say, if you accidentally launch at this time, that's not a bad thing. It could be a really good thing. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because it really helps with the algorithm and it helps this video go out to more people. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I want us to be a big happy family, and so more subscribers feels good. So please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.